Southampton, 220,000 people, 70 nationalities, 41 languages and many different religions working well together. A template for a modern Britain.
In terms of our faith-culture relationships, I am told that we are way ahead of the field, in that the work that has been going on for many years is very positive and has brought about a sense of understanding and a willingness to share across the faiths.
This series focuses on 6 major religions in the city. Buddhism is one of them.
I suppose some philosophies believe in a kind of God, whereas we believe in a law of life that flows throughout the universe. And through chanting, we're trying to harmonise our lives with that mystic law.
Buddhism arrived in Britain in the late 19th century and soon spread across the country. Some of the first followers lived in Southampton. Buddhism's 3,000-year history means that there are hundreds of different Buddhist schools of thought. A popular Japanese strain, practiced by a group called SGI, took root in Southampton.
SGI doesn't have a particular culture of its own, if you like. I mean, it promotes peace, culture and education, but it's practiced in nearly 200 countries worldwide. And the aim of SGI is to spread the Buddhist philosophy throughout the world in order to benefit human beings.
Southampton's SGI Buddhists meet each month all over the city. As in many other religions, they believe our short lives are part of something much greater.
It's an approach to living which acknowledges that there is more to this existence than a particular lifetime, and that there are dimensions or aspects to life that are beyond what we see with our eyes in an ordinary day sense. There is, in other words, a huge, great universe of which we're an integral part.
Buddhism is a way of life. The literal translation of Buddha is enlightened one. There have been many enlightened ones since the first Buddha. He began teaching the ways of Buddhist practice 3,000 years ago.
The first recorded Buddha was Shakyamuni, sometimes called Siddhartha Gautama. And the story goes that he was a prince, and his father wanted to protect him, so he never let him go outside the home, if you like. But when he was in his early teens, he came across 4 experiences which made him question why we were on this planet. And so he decided to leave and try and find the answers to these questions. He went through many different experiences, but eventually he ended up experiencing what Buddhists call enlightenment.
Shakyamuni rejected the available sort of teachings, if you like, that really were quite extreme at that time, very austere sorts of practices, and practiced them, and through his own experience came to conclude that they really didn't lead to this kind of this goal that he was seeking. It's how to surmount the sufferings of life. And he did break through. He did pursue his own path, following his own, if you like, vision or goal, that this should be achievable for human beings to live this way, to find this way to live.
Again, common to many religions, the teachings of the founder were written down. One of the main Buddhist texts is the Lotus Sutra. The SGI interpretation of this text is that anyone has the potential to be a Buddha or enlightened one.
towards the end of Shakyamuni's life, he really was saying, look, I've been teaching in relation to your understandings, but now I feel I have to teach the teachings of the Buddha, if you like, these sort of universal teachings throughout the universe. And it took the form of this extraordinary sort of tale in the Lotus Sutra, which you can read, in which he makes it very clear that all life, and certainly all human beings, have the potential to manifest this high life condition called Buddha. And this is really revolutionary stuff, that inherently all human beings actually are in this condition latently in their life.
Some Buddhists believe that you can only achieve enlightenment over several lifetimes, but the SGI group believes that you can achieve this heightened life condition within your own lifetime. Buddhahood is attained through meditation. Some Buddhists like quiet contemplation. The SGI group choose to chant their own mantra.
This is the impression Western people have about Buddhism. It's the most popular Buddhism, the one that you go to, you meditate quietly in some secluded place. And that's the impression I had. But we live in a society where we have to get up and go to work, and loads of things happen to us every day. So this form of chanting, what it actually does is like, it creates you a strong life force.
The first time I did it, my friend said to me, so why don't you just chant, when I had this whole saga going on in my life, just chant the words Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, and I did feel silly. I sat there and thought, what does this mean? But when you actually do it and you get the proof afterwards, why should it be silly? We can all sit there and sing and dance with a bottle of lager in our hands, and, or whatever. But to sit there and say the words Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is quite, very powerful.
Every member of this group chants morning and evening. They sit in front of an altar and focus on their inner Buddhahood. This helps them achieve their daily desires.
Morning and evening Gongyo consist of reading part of the Lotus Sutra, the most significant parts that relate to the teachings of Nichiren Daishonin. And then we chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo repeatedly for as long as we wish. So, you could chant for just 5 minutes, or some people may chant for half an hour, or even an hour.
So when you chant and you're chanting for your determinations and your desires, and you take action on what you want and your desires. So say I was chanting for a great day. I want to have a good day at work today. I would obviously have that in my head. Go to work and try and have a good day. And with that, I would have a good day.
There's private meditation or prayer in most religions, and most practice together as a community. Buddhism is no exception.
Our form of Buddhism is very much about interacting with other human beings. So some people do practice from home and don't go to meetings, etc. But really the essence of being a human being is the social side, the social gathering, if you like. And you can't... We could all survive on our own, staying in our houses, whatever, and not having to interact. It's the people outside and interacting with them which is really important.
As well as chanting together, Southampton's Buddhists learn together.
There are 3 elements of our practices: practice, study and faith. And study is there to really reinforce our faith. And Buddhism has a really wonderful theory. And in order to really understand Buddhism, we have to study. And the reason I think study is so important is because at crucial moments in our life, if we haven't studied to really deepen our understanding about Buddhism, we might get our faith might get shaken.
it's a case of where you're at your lowest point or something, but you can still.
As with most major religions, they strive for a better world and believe that everyone is capable of infinite good.
Buddhahood is that quality in a person. I've heard somebody describe it as being the best person you can be. We might, for example, have seen Mother Teresa and called her, is in a state of Buddhahood because of her, what we call bodhisattva actions, her caring, actions.
I don't think you can deny your human nature, can you? So I have anger, I have arrogance, I have all these things, but what I hope is chanting really bring forth my positive qualities a bit more, and my negative qualities just suppress them a bit so they're not that apparent immediately. So, that's what I think, chanting will do for me and Daimoku.
It's about considering other people's feelings and respecting others. And by respecting other people and treating them how you would be treated and looking at them and hoping to see their Buddhahood, you can get a completely different result, and you can actually start to see further than the end of your own nose as such.
Southampton is a city with 41 languages, 70 nationalities and 8 different faiths. Buddhism is one of them. There are 350 million Buddhists worldwide. More than 100 from a group called SGI are in the Southampton area, where they meet once a month.
Now we have an experience by Kelly.
Hi, my name is Kelly and I practice in Southampton. Today I'm going to give my experience of how I met the practice and receiving Gohonzon and my determinations. Being a philosophical person, which I am, I was open to being educated on the practice of Buddhism. My best friend Ashley invited me to a meeting which I attended 3 years ago.
Major religions have symbols to help devotees connect to their faith. One symbol links each Buddhist in Southampton. It's the Gohonzon, a parchment covered in Sanskrit writing so sacred that it cannot be filmed directly.
The respect that we show to the Gohonzon is the respect that we have for our life and all other life, because the Gohonzon represents life in its highest state of Buddhahood. So although it is an external object, in a way the Gohonzon is in our lives, but it's good to have something to focus on, to remind ourselves that, that what we're sitting there chanting for is to try and reveal Buddhahood in our lives.
And these Buddhists have their own rite of passage. When they commit to becoming an SGI Buddhist, they receive the Gohonzon at the SGI headquarters in Maidenhead.
I thought to myself, I think I'm actually ready to receive Gohonzon. And it was Ashley that questioned me. She said to me, I think you should. And I thought, yeah. And it had to come from my heart. It had to come from me to actually think that I was ready to actually have it in my home. So when I do have people around, and for my own sake, to chant to it morning and night. So it was like a mark of being Buddhist. I was quite nervous and quite excited, I suppose, at the same time. And I think there was about 160 of us or something that were receiving Gohonzon at that point. So your name gets called up and you go ahead and you shake hands and you receive it, and you've got to look after it. I've still got the box and I've got my certificate, but yeah, no, it's nice because you think, right, okay, I'm actually Buddhist.
I felt really great. It made a huge difference in my life. So I actually went into the lab and jumped and hugged the person that introduced me from my workplace. So now it just feels it's the most precious thing I have in my life, this piece of paper. And by actually looking after the Gohonzon, I have learned how to look after my life.
Receiving the Gohonzon is a life-changing moment.
Ideally, if you look at it from an external sort of perspective, you could say single mum, go to work full-time, 5-year-old child, must be really hard. But actually, it's probably the easiest part, and I'm at the happiest point in my life, to be honest, compared to what my old setup was, which was having a partner who had his own business, to having, you know, this external kind of materialistic values, which actually didn't mean anything. So for me, when I met the practice, it was like an inner kind of happiness. It was like complete and utterly for myself, for my own happiness. So when I took it upon myself to go, right, okay, I will work full-time and I will find a childminder and I will have the social life that I want and I will get on with my ex-partner. I have all that and I'm cool.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks. Oh, it's rubbish.
Buddhists believe that death is not the end, that when we die, we are reborn or reincarnated as another life.
One of the things that attracted me to Buddhism was the idea that there was more when you died. It seemed ridiculous to me that we spent all this lifetime having experiences and learning and developing, and then we died and that was the end of it. There's a scientific thing, because I'm not a scientist, but you can't stop energy. The energy, you know, just continues. You can't stop it. And if we are energy, so as human beings we are energy, when we die, that energy's got to go somewhere.
Reincarnation is linked to the idea of karma, that every action you take will have an effect, whether it's in this life or the next.
Karma is all the causes and effects that we've had throughout our eternal life. So every second of our lives, we lay causes, which then an effect is ready to manifest. And our karma is all the causes and effects that we've had up to this second in time. So imagine there being a bag on your back with all your previous lifetimes, right? And all the things, experiences, everything that you've experienced and all those things, that's your karma.
For Buddhists, the lotus flower epitomizes this cycle of life. It's the only plant that flowers and seeds at the same time.
A lot of it is about faith and, you know, as I said, no one can prove what happens after death, but it just goes along with the law of physics and other laws in the universe to believe that life is like an energy and it will go on. It won't just end and that's it, finished forever. You know, that life goes on. So, you know, the causes that we're making in this lifetime will affect future lifetimes. So that's my belief, and it makes me feel very positive about the future.
The core of the Buddha's teaching is to understand the self and overcome suffering. The SGI group in Southampton believe in combining these two ideas to bring practical benefits like working for peace at a local level.
I can't achieve world peace now, but at least I can set the stone rolling, you know, by working with the Council of Faith to show that, you know, faiths and people working together is much more valuable. We have a thing in our Buddhism called creating value, and I think that we can all create value in our environment rather than destroying it. So I feel that as a Buddhist in Southampton, I use my uniqueness to contribute to that goal.
David represents Buddhism on the Southampton Council of Faiths. The group helps the different cultures and religions within the city understand each other and work together.
I have tremendous respect for David and his understanding of how life works, because he took the view that I had gone to see him and I had talked about the Council of Faith and the need for the Buddhist community to be engaged. Therefore he had to do it, that this was the way things were. Now that, I felt, placed a tremendous load on me, because I had asked him to do something which has in fact changed his life.
The other thing that happened, when I watched those two programmes on television, the Hamburg Cell and another one that came after that, there was a website address which I went to. I think Southampton is quite unique. I think it is quite radically different. I mean, if you go to Fareham even, or any of the towns in the area, even Bournemouth is nothing like Southampton in terms of the mix. And there are lots of people that we know are in the Southampton community, like the Somalis and the Chinese Christians, who we don't even engage with at the moment. So one of my tasks is to try and find ways to get them involved in what we're doing. We agree more than we disagree. And in fact, even if we disagree, we probably wouldn't disagree as vehemently as we would, because of the respect. And I think that's a really important thing, that, we live alongside each other and work in this group together, but we do look for the similarities, we don't look for the differences.
People that practice Buddhism become really aware of how interrelated life is and how the lives of people are so, literally, karmically interrelated. Buddhist practice is all about overcoming the limitations that we find through our relationships with others, and literally opening up our lives to be able to embrace people in more and more different ways.
I think that if you're a person of faith and you believe in something, and therefore you live your life to the best you can, and let's say you have two people side by side, so throughout their lives, one believes in nothing and is constantly worried about death and has no idea where they are or what they're doing in their life, and the other person, because of their faith, understands death, comes to terms with it, fears it, whatever it might be. At the point when they both die, if they're both wrong, who had the best life?